Hello Eurovision friends, thank you so much for coming to my channel Eurovision Histories. Today I want to do another Eurovision Song Battle, The Code representing Switzerland in this year's Eurovision versus Before the Party is Over representing Belgium in this year's Eurovision. I will be looking at different aspects of the song and performance, giving points to the song that I think does this aspect best. And then I also have your votes, which will be really important in the song battles from now on, because your votes will count more than my points. So kind of you're the televoters and I'm the jury in a way. And if you want to participate in these votes in the community tab of my channel, you gotta subscribe. And I also have some of your comments. So the first aspect I always talk about in my rating videos, but also in the song battles, are the lyrics of the two songs. So for the lyrics of Before the Party's Over, I have to say I find them really, really intriguing because every single time I listen to them, I hear something a little bit different. At the beginning, I thought it's about a guy who lives a very superficial life, goes out dancing and drinking to kind of suppress the feelings that he has. And then he kind of gets in touch with his own feelings. And I see that in One More Drink and I'll Be Fine. But then he also sings, I can still see the pain in the way that you move, which is my favorite sentence of the whole lyrics. They told me it was paradise, but I barely make it through the night. I got a soul on fire, raise roofs tonight. So I can imagine someone in a disco or in a club dancing, trying to dance their pain away, but it doesn't quite work. It's still there. But now I also hear a bit of a different message because he sings, are we sure the kids are all right? And of course, the song is called Before the Party is Over. And it kind of feels like it is him talking to younger generations. And also because they told me it was paradise, but we barely make it through the night. Something like liberties are under attack. We are under the impression that we're living a good life, but things might be changing and the party might be over soon. That's another interpretation I have. And the fact that you can have different interpretations for the song make it really good to me. And then also for the code, very intriguing lyrics once again. Nemo is kind of telling their own story about finding out that they are non-binary. Welcome to the show. I'm done playing the game. This is my bohème, so drink it up, my friend. This story is my truth. So they are telling their own personal story. I went to hell and back. I broke the code. And what is the code? Later on, they sing between the zeros and ones. That's where I found my kingdom come. So the binary code 0 and 1, and they are in between. They are non-binary. That makes a lot of sense and is quite genius, I do think now. And I also think that the way the language is used in the lyrics is quite clever and poetic. I found my kingdom come. This is my bohème. And also let me feel that burning fright is just something that we don't usually hear in pop songs. We don't have fire desire in this, so it's much more elaborate. And so in the end, I decided to give this point to the code, because also Before the Party's Over becomes a bit repetitive at the end. It's just repeated over and over again. And so I'm giving this point to the code, which takes an early lead. Now, next up, I want to talk about the voice, or in this case, the voices, which again is very hard to decide between these two vocal performances. Nemo obviously is doing vocal acrobatics that are just incredible, from the operatic parts, which are really hard to do, to the poppier parts, the piano ballad part, to the rap part. All of them seem to be really good, and I've seen videos where it seems like they really do know how to perform this and can perform them. The register changes are just out of this world, I think, and really impressive. I just personally don't like these operatic parts as much. They kind of get a bit much for me at some point. For Mustii, I have to say he has an incredible vocal depth to his voice, a lot of emotion and pain that you can hear in the voice. There are variations and changes in timbre to his voice, which are really impressive and just hit me emotionally more. And so in the end, I decided to give this point to Before the Party's Over, or in this case to Mustii, because it's his voice, obviously. Now in round number 3, I talk about the song, and as this is the most important part of a Eurovision package, I have sub-rounds for this, the first one being melody and hook. And this was, again, very difficult. Sorry if I'm repeating myself, but when we talk about hook, I think Switzerland has more of a catchy hook with the oh that Nemo does. And also the beat is really, really interesting in this song. Listen to it again and focus on the beat, because it comes in, it goes out, and drives the song, as I've said, but sometimes it sounds like a countdown when it's counting down to them realizing who they really are. And sometimes it sounds like a heartbeat as well. Really well done, really intricate. So I really like that. But Belgium also has a beautiful melody that builds, of course, throughout the song. It is a bit more standard when it comes to the instrumentation and whatever is happening. But I do love the strings in it as well. And so I think hook would go to Switzerland, but melody goes to Belgium. And so I decided to give a point to both of them. Now, next up, let's talk about the structure of these two songs. First of all, Belgium. I have said this many times before. I love how the song builds and takes its time to build towards this climax at the end, which is a bit repetitive, but the structure of the song does make it stand out, I think. And the fact that it takes its time makes the climax more potent and more impactful to me as well. But when we talk about Switzerland and the code, I mean, everything I said about the beat for the melody is also true for the structure. There's so much happening. It feels a bit like Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. It keeps you engaged. It keeps you interested. And each of the parts also makes sense. And it doesn't feel disjointed like some other songs. It kind of works as a product. And so, again, I'm kind of, chickening out to really decide, but I gave a point to both of them. Now, this one is originality. And here, I mean, this is quite easy, actually, because Switzerland is very experimental. That doesn't necessarily mean that it is more original. There are some experimental songs that just don't work and that feel, artificial, but this one really doesn't. And Belgium is just a bit more of a standard ballad, even though I do like the structure and it makes it a bit different. But here I gave this point to the code, and so the code takes the lead here. Now this one, if you've seen other song battles, is new. I call it goal. I thought about calling it purpose. So every song has a purpose, something that it wants to achieve. If it's a ballad, it wants you to feel something. If it's a joke entry, it wants you to laugh. If it's a pop song, it wants you to dance. And I mean, if you have a joke song that isn't funny, it's just a bad song. If you have a ballad that doesn't touch you, it's also a bad song. And I kind of wanted to add this aspect to the song battles. And here, I think Switzerland wants to entertain and to send a message, and it really works, and wants to be experimental as well. Whereas Before the Party is Over wants you to feel something, wants you to really get into the emotion. It drags you in throughout the song as it builds. And I think that Belgium just achieves this purpose a bit more than Switzerland. I'm not saying that Switzerland doesn't achieve the purpose, but in the end, I decided to give this point to Belgium. So we have a tie again. And this is also new. Airplay, which is based more on facts. Until now, it has been more my opinion. Which song do I listen to more on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, let's say? And here I can tell you that that is Switzerland quite clearly. So the fourth round is performance, but I am chickening out again because we have only seen full music videos. We have not seen full performances yet of these two songs. And I kind of have the expectations that both of them will be performed expertly with a great staging. I think they will have the funds to put into that. And so I am not giving a point to either one because I do think that they will more or less be on the same level, and anything else would be a bit of a lot of speculation, to be honest. Now let's get to the most important part of this video, and these are your votes. As I've said, your votes will count more than my points I have already distributed. So let's have a look how you voted. 42% of you gave their vote to Mustii and Before the Party's Over, and 58% gave their vote to Nemo and The Code, which will translate to 6 points for Nemo and 4 points for Mustii, which means that Nemo finishes this song battle with 11 points and Mustii with 8 points, and thus we have a winner of this song battle. It is Nemo with The Code, and in second place, not that far behind, is Mustii with Before the Party's Over. And now I have some of your comments which show that a lot of you struggled deciding which is the better song. Rui Carretero said, tough, very tough. Ula Cosmos said, could we just have 2 winners? No, we can't. And Josh Vasquez asked, these are 2 of the best songs. Why pit them against each other this early? Not sure whether there's a bit of a misunderstanding with Eurovision Knockout, another series on this channel. This is, of course, not the battle for the Eurovision Knockout, but a separate video. And I did it because it's just more fun to have 2 songs that are quite equal than, as I've said, having a bad song and a good song, and then you already know who will win. That would be a bit boring. Then Tol Kirschenkind says, The Code, Belgium finally clicked for me, but I still think that the first 2 minutes just aren't enough to keep one interested. So Mustii needs the best staging Belgium ever had, or he has so slightly revamped the track to make them more interesting. That's not a problem Switzerland has. Let's be honest, it's a riot, and whether people like it or not, it's attention grabbing from the first to the last second. I agree with that. Amber Isabel says, Belgium is so epic and stirring. Loved it from first listen. My third of this year. Switzerland wasn't one of my favorites initially, but I have grown to adore it. I think that's a story many of us share, that we didn't like. I wasn't convinced by either of these songs at the beginning, but listening to them more and more, they become better and better with each listen, which is a great compliment to a song. And Silent Station says, Mustii, his song has grown massively on me. Again, another example of this. Stonebrook says, tough choice. They are 2 sides of the same coin for me. I really like them both, but voted for Switzerland because Nemo's song is more dynamic. And then ESC Oscar says, I think Switzerland could win the whole contest. I won't say anything about that because I'll have a video with my prediction on who the winner might be. I don't want to spoil that. And then Timothy says, The Code is ready to be broken. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your comments and for voting. There will be more song battles coming up, so do subscribe and vote in these. And then you might see your comment in one of my videos. See you then, and bye-bye.